Dear students, this e-content describes complete analysis of the poem Ode to Solitude written by Alexander Pope. Author's note: Early life and isolation. Alexander Pope was born in the year of 1688. Pope was often isolated due to his Catholic faith, which restricted his education and movement, leading to his early focus on nature and solitude. Early career: despite his earlier ode, he became a leading poet of 18th century known for witty satires, though his childhood poems like one of his relieve profound early insights. Later life: he lived much of his adult life in Twickenham, creating a beautiful garden, but his early ideal of solitude in this poem didn't fully mirror his famous public career. Ode to Solitude by Alexander Pope describes the ideal happy life of one contented solitude on his one's own land. Free from stress of the outside world, the poem outlines the life where a man is self-sufficient, living in harmony with nature and his own peace of mind, and concludes his poet's wish to live in a similarly unnoticed life until death. Read a poem, Ode to Solitude by Alexander Pope. Stanza 1: Happy the man whose wish and care a few parental acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. Stanza 2: Whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with the attire, whose trees the summer yield in his shade, in the winter fire. Stanza 3: Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, years slide soft away. In the health of the body, peace of mind quit by day. Stanza 4: Sound sleep by night, study and ease, together mixed, sweet recreation and innocence, which most does please with meditation. Stanza 5: Thus let me live unseen, unknown, thus unlimited let me die. Steal from the world, not a stone, tell where I lie. Let us see a little gist about the poem. Alexander Pope's Ode to Solitude, written around in 1700, where he was just 12, idealized a simple and self-sufficient life in nature, finding contentment in nature farm, far from societal pursuit, a theme stemming partly from his own isolated upbringing as a Catholic in 18th century England. Though ironically, he later became a major literary figure, not a recluse. Pope's early work contrasts sharply with his later satire, offering earnest praise from quiet, humble living, study, peace over fame, and wealth, a vision of happy solitude. About the poem, the theme: it celebrates a simple, content life close to nature, free from worldly ambitions. Content describes a man's happy with his own small estate, finding everything he needs: food, warmth, peace from the land, and enjoys quiet activities like reading and meditations. Core ideas: the true happiness lies in the being unseen, unknown, unlimited, stealing away from the world. Let us see the structure and form of the poem. The poem is an ode, lyrical poem expressing admiration. In this case, for example, solitary life. Stanzas: the poem has 5 stanzas, as also called as quatrains. Each stanza contains 4 lines, so the poem has 20 lines total. Rhyming scheme: each stanza follows A B rhyming scheme. Example: stanza 1: Care, first line it ends with a sound with the rhyming A, and the second line ends with the sound in the word bound, so it is the rhyming is B. Then the third line ends with that is air, rhyming scheme is A. Then fourth line ends with the sound, ground, so the first line a sound and the third line a sound rhyme together A. and the second line d sound, and fourth line d sound d, so it rhymes as b b. So the rhyming scheme is a b a b. This pattern consists in all the stanzas. The next is meter of the poem. The poem is written in iambic tetrameter. Each line has four iambics as unstressed syllable followed by stressed one. So each line totally eight syllables. For example, happy the man whose wish and care. We can see da dum da dum da dum da dum rhyming. Such an eight syllable, and the tone is very calm, reflective, and peaceful, and celebrates rural simplicity and solitude. The style is very simple and classical diction, balanced, clear, harmonious phrasing, typical and of Pope's early poetry. Uses cataloging, listing sources of contentment, personification, imagery, rural and pastoral, and contrast, quiet life, averse fame. Let us see the political and social background of the poem. The early 18th century England of the Augustan age. The poem was written during early 17th century, a period known as an Augustan age, a time often associated with the poem stability under the Queen reign of 1702 to 1714, and the rise of political parties, Whigs and Tories, is it's quite common in this era. The growth of cities, commerce, and newspapers prevailed in this century. The strong interest of classical ideas such as orders, harmony, and reason, it plays a vital role in this period. So this period is varied moderation, simplicity, self-control, ideas of strongly shaped Alexander Pope's celebration of calm and rural life. The next social background, we can see the vital aspects is increasing social changes and urbanization. So England faced during Pope's time was becoming more urban and commercial and materialistic. London was expanded rapidly and the people were chasing wealth, fame, and social status. In contrast, the Pope's poem phrases the opposite, a quiet, rural, self-sufficient life away from crowd and ambition. Then this contrast reflects a growing anxiety about modern society. Then third one, we can see the class and land ownership plays a major role during this era. That society was still dominated by landed gentry landowners, the aristocracy and the church, rural farmers and peasants. The poem idolizes the self-sustaining rural ownership with a few parental acres, suggesting a modest inheritance rather than huge wealth. This reflects a nostalgic admiration of traditional agriculture life by the poet, and we can see the purer and more stable than urban commerce in this poem. And the next is Pope's personal context. And Alexander Pope came from that of Catholic family, a group that was legally restricted, excluded from universities, government office, and public power, often persecuted socially. Because of these restrictions, Pope lived a quiet private life away from political and public affair. His longing for the privacy and peace is reflected in this poem, Ode to Solitude. And we can see his own exclusions, his desire for independence, his withdrawal from public life. Everything, it is an autobiographical note, reflects in this poem. So next is reaction against political corruption. Early 18th century politicals were full of court intrigues, growing corruption, and we can see intense party conflicts, Whigs and Tories. Many writers reacted by phrasing nature's simplicity and rural innocence. The poem Idol of Living, Unseen, Unknown reflects disappointment with public life and political ambition. Pope suggests that the true happiness comes from escaping the competitive and corrupt world. Next is classical influence. The poem also reflects the political and social philosophy of Horace Virgil and other classical poets. These poets phrase the golden mean, that the balanced life between luxury and poverty, an idea very influential during the Augustan age. Pope adopts this classical model to critique modern restlessness. Let us see the literary device found in this poem. The first is imagery. Alexander Pope uses vivid picture appealing to the senses. For example, whose hurts with milk? In this phrase, we can see the author make use of visual taste imagery. The next phrase, whose trees in the summer yields him shade? In this phrase, we can see, the visual and tactile imageries is being used by the author. And the next phrase, the sound sleeps by night, we can see the sensory images. So author make use of visual taste imagery and visual and tactile and sensory imagery and all these phrases, and these images creates a peaceful and rural atmosphere that reflects it in this poem. The next is alliterations. Repetition of constant sound for melody is alliterations. For example, look at the phrase sound sleeps. The sound S is repeated in both words, so we can find the alliteration in this phrases. The next is hours, days, years, slide, soft, away. So look at the word slide and soft. Again, S sound is repeated in this both words. We can find alliteration in this phrases. Next is study and ease. So these makes the poems smooth and musical. Next, literary devices personification. The time is given a human quality is called as an personification. For example, hours, days, and years slide soft away. So this makes feels like gentle and peaceful. We can see all these phrases are being personified. The next device is metaphor, the direct comparison without like or as. The entire poem metaphor for an ideal and balanced life. For example, look at the phrase steal from the world, living life quietly in comparatively to quite slipping away. The next is the contrast is, the author make use of contrast devices such as rural peace versus urban ambition, and it is a both contrast aspects of rural life and urban life and their ambition. Then next is we can see the two contrasts of quiet life and fame life. The quiet life represents the country life, and whereas the fame life it represents the city life. Then we can see the two other contrasts of simplicity and materialism. Simplicity we can see in the country life, whereas materialism we can find in the city life. So this strengthens the poem's theme of evaluating solitude. Next device is hyperbole, which is an inversion. The classical poet word order is used for rhythm. Happy the man instead, the man is happy. This gives the poem a classical tone. The next device is parallelism. Similar grammatical structures create rhythm. On these lines, we can see hours, days, and years. The studies and ease and together mix it. The parallelism makes the poem balanced and harmonious. Next is enjambment. The sentence continues to the next line without stop. Hours, days, years, slides soft away. In the health of the body, peace of mind, this gives a poem a flowing and effortless rhythm. Next is epigrammatic style. Short and polished wise statement typical to the author. And find out this line such as happy the man whose wish and care and few parental acres bound. So these lines expresses deep idea of simple life and memorable phrasing that echoes the autobiographical life of the poet who spent his life in his native place in a very calm, in a peaceful manner. The next device is classical allusion. The poem reflects the philosophy of Horace, a classical poet who phrases simplicity, self-sufficiency, the golden mean. The Pope imitates their structure and ideas. Next is rhyming scheme. That A B is every stanza. The consistent rhyming adds harmony and balance throughout the poem. The next is device is iambic tetrameter. And each line has four iambic such as star-dum patterns. It continues in all the verses of this poem. This meter creates a calm, steady rhythm matching to the poem theme. Next, we can see the theme of the poem. The first theme is joy of simple living. The central theme of the true happiness comes from simple and rural life, not with the wealth or the fame. And hence the poet traces the man who's satisfied with a few parental acres, content to his natural surrounding, free from complicated desires. The second theme we can see self-sufficiency. The poem highlights interdependence and self-reliance. The idle person has milk from his herds, bread from his fields, clothes from his flocks, and shade and firewood from his tree. Everything he needs comes from his own land. This shows a beauty of life not dependent on others. Next theme we can see that's peace and contentment. The poem presents a life is filled with health, peace of mind, quiet days, and sound sleep. And we can see this simple life, peace, and pleasure are valued more than ambitious achievement. Contentment is portrayed as a form of true wealth. Next theme is solitude as a blessing. Rather than seeing solitude as loneliness, Pope presents restful, healing, and liberating of a human life, and solitude always allows times for study, recreation, innocence, and meditation, and it also becomes a positive, enriching state of being. The next theme is rejection of fame and ambition. The poet criticizes the worldly ambition, public recognition, and pursuit of fame, noisy and busy social life, and ahead the author speaks wishes to live unseen, unknown, showing the theme of escape from society of modern city life. The next theme is harmony with nature. The nature is shown as a perfect provider of food, shelter, warmth, and clothing, the shade of summer and fire in winter. So the poet highlights living closely with nature brings balances and satisfaction, emphasize a pastoral ideal life. Next theme is value of quiet and private life, whereas the poet contrasts quiet life within a chaotic world of city life. He wishes to live without attracting attention. He wished to die unlamented and he want to leave an mournful behind. This expresses a theme of beauty of privacy, a life without public pressure that is more common in city life. Next theme is passage of time. The poem treats the passing of time as gentle, not frightened. In this phrase, we can see hours, days, and years slide soft away. So this line shows life lived without stress and where the time flows naturally. Dear students, this e-content describes line by line explanation of the poem The Ode to Solitude, written by Alexander Pope. Read a poem. Happy the man whose wish and care the few parental acres bound, the content to breathe his native air, in his own ground, whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supplies him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in the winter fire. Blessed who can unconstantly find hours, days, years slide soft away. In the health of the body, peace of mind, quiet by day, sound sleep by night, study and ease together mix sweet recreation, and innocence with most does please, with meditation thus let him live unseen unknown, thus unlamented let him die, steal from the world not stone, let where I lie. Stanza 1. Let us see the explanation of this line. Happy the man whose wish and care a few parental acres bound. In this line, we can see the phrases happy the man. It means the poet says the happiness begins by declaring that man is truly happy, not rich and powerful and or famous, but genuinely content and at being very peace. Happiness here means the inner satisfaction and mental calm and not outward success. The next phrase we can see whose wish and care in this line. of the phrases, we can see the wish here refers to the person's desire, ambition, or a want, while care refers to his responsibilities and worries and anxieties. Hence, the poet says it suggests that happiness depends upon the controlling both desire and worry. And together, the lines means that the man is happy when his desire and responsibility are limited and simple, rather than endless and ambitious. Hence, the poet says that the man is truly happy when his desire and worries are limited to a small piece of land inherited from his ancestors. He does not carve for wealth, for power, or for fame. His needs are simple and moderate. Line 2, a few parental acres bound. We can see this line completes the idea behind in the previous line. The central idea of the poem of philosophy of life, we can see it explains how the happy man's limited his wishes and cares. When we want to see the detailed explanation, a few here refers to the phrase suggests a smallness and moderation. The man does not own vast estate or desire large wealth. His happiness comes from having enough or having more. And we can see the parental is a phrase, it means inherited from one's fathers or ancestors. The word emphasizes stability and tradition, a natural rightful inheritance, freedom from ambition or greed. So we can see the poet has not acquired land from through the struggle or competition or exploitation. It is simple family inheritance. Then we can see the phrase acres. The acres here refers to the land or property, symbolizing man's means of livelihoodness. And whereas land here represents self-sufficiency, security, and independence of the poet. Then we can see the word bound. Bound here refers to limited or unconfined. Here we can see the poet's wishes and worries are restricted to his small property. His wish not concern himself with the affairs of the wider world, and we can in a wider sense in the perspective of politics, commerce, and public ambition. And we can see the combined meaning of this line. So the line means that the happy man desires and responsibility are confined to a small piece of inherited land. He lives a simple and self-contained life and free from anxieties that comes with wealth and ambition and social competitions. When we want to see the deeper significance of these lines, and we can see the Augustan ideal of moderation, the classical belief of happiness come from limited desires. So the pastoral ideal, which phrases rural life of over city life, in contrast sharply with greedy landowners, ambition politicians, and merchants chasing profit. We can see the moral and philosophical meaning that the poet Pope suggests that excessive possessiveness increases worries, inherent simplicity brings peace, true freedom lies in knowing one's limit. So man is not poor, but sufficiently provide for which the key of the happiness. Line 3, the content to breathe is native air in his own ground. Here, the content, the word content means satisfied and happy and at peace. The man does not feel restlessness or dissatisfied. He accepts his life joyful without longing for a chance or a luxury. Then to breathe, the breathing here is a symbolic of living and existing. It suggests that the man finds joy in a very act of living, not achievement or possessions. His native air refers to the air of his birthplace or homeland. It symbolizes his own country, his root and cultural identity, the deep emotional connection to the place where he was born. The phrase implies that the man is happy living in his native land among the familiar surrounding people and tradition. He does not aspire to travel abroad or seek fortune in a distant place. Line 4, in his own ground. In this short line, complete of thought of early lines, reinforces the poem's central idea of contentment, then independence and rootness. When we can see the detailed explanation, the literal meaning sense on the surface, the line means that the man lives on his own land that belongs to him, and he is not tempted to depend on others. His livelihood comes from his own property. His own here refers to the repetition of his emphasis personal ownership and independence. Here it is a free form from landlords, employers, and political masters. He controls his life because he controls his land. Then ground here refers to the land, but it also the deeper symbolic meaning. It represents security and stability. It suggests being firmly rooted. It implies natural, simple life close to the earth. To see the deeper meaning and context of this line, the poet Pope's time, the many people sought success in cities or of foreign lands through trade, politics, and colonial ventures. And the poet Pope contrasts his ambition with the peaceful life of man who is satisfied with his homeland, free from restlessness or greed, spiritually rooted and emotionally secure. This line emphasizes patriotism, simplicity, acceptance of his own nature place in life. Philosophically, significances such as man is satisfied living his own country, in his own land, he feels peace and belonging to his birthplace, does not wish to travel from far and seek success elsewhere. Stanza 2, line number 5, whose herd with milk, whose fields with the bread. This line describes self sufficient and peaceful rural life of the man's life which seems to be very happy enough and shows how nature provides all his basic needs. And when we see the detailed explanation, whose herds with milk? Herd refers to the cattle such as cows and buffaloes. They supply milk such as represents a basic nourishment, daily sustains natural simple food. The man does not depend on the marketers or a trade. His animal provides him with the food directly. Whose fields with bread? And field symbolizes cultivated land. They produce grain, which made into a bread, the most essential food for the survival. Bread here stands for food security, sustained livelihood, honest labor connects with the land. Combined meaning of this line, let us see. Together, the line means that the man's land and animal provides him everything necessary to live. He enjoys a life of self reliance where his daily needs are met naturally and peaceful. When we see the deeper significance, this line highlights the pastoral ideal, life closest to nature, economic independence, freedom from greed, luxury, and independence on others. In contrast with the city life, where people depends on money, commerce, and social system. Moral and philosophical meaning. The poet suggests that the true happiness comes from having enough, not having excess. Simple food earned through the honest work brings more peace than luxury obtained through ambition. Nature is a generous provider when one lives in harmony with it. We can see the literary devices such as parallelism, whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread. Similar structure emphasizes balances and completeness. Symbolism, milk and bread symbolizes the basic human needs and simplicity. The lines whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread means that the happy man owns animals and land provides him with an essential food, symbolizing a simple and self-sufficient and peaceful rural life, which is foundation of a true happiness in the poem. His cow provides milk and his field provides grain for the bread. This shows self-sufficiency. He depends upon nature rather than on the trade or luxury. Line number 6. Whose flocks supply him with attire? We can see the detailed explanation. Whose flocks here refers to. Word flocks mainly refers to sheep. In a rural pastoral setting, sheep are important because they provide wool. The word suggests a peaceful countryside life closely connected with nature. Supply him in this phrase indicates that the man has enough for his own needs. He does not depend on shops, markets, trades for clothing. Nature provides for him directly. With attire. Attire meaning clothing. The wool obtained from his sheep is used to make clothes that protect him from the weather, and his clothes in plain, useful, and necessary, not fashionable or luxurious. Combined meaning of this line, since the line means that the man's own sheep provides the wool need for his clothes, along with his food for his field and milk from his cattle, and his clothing is also come from his own land. We can see the deeper and symbolic meaning of this line. Symbolically, this line represents complete self-reliance, freedom from independence on society and commerce, satisfaction with basic needs rather than the desire for luxury. The poet Pope contrasts the simple life with the city life where people worry about fashion, wealth, and social status. Then, moral and philosophical meaning of this line, such as the poet Pope suggests that happiness comes from having enough, not from the success of the simple clothing, brings peace, with luxury creates pride and anxiety. Living according to the nature leads to a moral purity and calmness. We can see the literary device used in this. Lines are such as a pastoral imagery, such as sheep and wool creates a calm rural picture. Parallelism, the structure matches early lines, whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread. It emphasizes a balances of life. The line whose flock supplies him with attire means the happy man whose sheep provides wool for his clothing, shows life is simplicity, independence, and contentment. It reinforces Poe's message that true happiness lies in the self-sufficiency and moderation, not within the wealth of or luxurious materialistic life. Line 7, whose trees in summary yields him shade. This line continues Pope's picture of idle and self-sufficient life, shows how nature loving support the happy man in every season. We can see the detailed explanation such as whose trees. The trees belong to the man and grow on his own land. This shows the close relationship with nature. Nature is not something distant or a commercial for him. It is a part of his daily life. In summer, the summer is the season of heat and discomfort, and sultry. It is often symbolizes hardship caused by the nature. Healed him shade in these phrases, we can see the tree provides shade, protecting him from burning sun, and the shade symbolizes the comfort and relief of life, and nature protection and peace and calmness that the human gets from nature. So the word yield suggests that nature willingly and generously gives him what he needs without struggle. The line means that during hot summer days, the trees on his land naturally protects man, comfort him by providing shade. He does not need artificial luxury, shelter. Nature itself looks after him. The deeper and symbolic meaning of this line, such as symbolically, line shows harmony between man and nature. Nature as a caring and nurturing forces, a life free from excess and artificial comfort. Shadow also represents a mental peace of emotional comfort, suggesting that man is protected not only physically but also spiritually. Philosophically and moral meaning, the poet Pope suggests that a simple life close to nature is healthier and more peaceful. Nature provides everything if one lives with moderation. True comfort does not come from luxury but from natural harmony. Literary device used in this line such as personification. Trees are shown as an actively yielding shade. Next, literary devices, pastoral imagery such as trees, seasons, and nature idolize as rural life of human life. And parallelism paired with the next line, the winter fire shows balance. This line continues Pope's description, the ideal self-sufficient life, and shows how happy man's basic needs are met naturally and simple, without independence on wealth or society. Let us see the detailed explanation of this line. Whose flocks? Flocks refers mainly to sheep, something goats. In traditional rural setting, sheep are valuable because they provide wool. The word suggests peace, pastoral life, and harmony with nature. Supply him. This phrase shows that the man has enough for himself. Nature gives him what he needs without excess or shortage. He does not need to be beg, sorrow, or trade extensively with attire. Attire means clothing. The wool from his sheep is used for making clothes that protect him from the cold and weather. The clothing is simple, practical, and earned honesty in winter fire. And in short, the this line completes the seasonal contrast, begins in this previous line, and highlights the self-sufficiency, comfort, harmony with nature enjoyed by happy man. Let us see the literal meaning of these lines. In the cold winter season, the trees on the man's land provides firewood, which also uses to light a fire and keep him warm. And thus, nature supports him even during harsh condition. We can connect with these previous lines, such as whose trees in the summer yield him shade. This line also shows that nature protects him summer with the shade, nature comforts him with winter with fire, and that it creates a picture of complete seasonal care. We can see the deeper and symbolic meaning. The fire symbolizes warmth and comfort and security of survival life, of domestic and peace. And it also suggests emotional warmth and peaceful home and contented life. Winter here refers often symbolizes hardship or difficulty. The fact that he has fire with winter suggests that he is prepared, secured, and content even with difficult times. Philosophical meaning of this line suggests the poet implies that a simple life closest to nature and stable in all season. True comfort does not come from luxury but also natural sources and foresight. Literary device used in this line such as contrast, summer versus winter highlights balance, symbolism suggests fire symbolizes comfort, safety, and domestic happiness. Economy of language, the shortness of line reflects simplicity of life described. Moral significance is the line suggests that the happy man's needs are always met. He does not fear seasonal change or hardship. Living with nature limits brings security and peace. The line "the winter fire" means during winter the man owns trees, provides firewood to keep himself warm, symbolizing self sufficiency, comfort, and harmony with nature. It completes the author's image of balanced and peaceful life supported by nature throughout the year. The next literary device is parallelism. The structure mirrors early lines. Whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with the attire. This parallelism comes and creates a rhythm and reinforces balances. Next is pastoral elegy. Image of sheep and wool idyllize rural life. This line, whose flock supplies him with attire, means that happy man's own sheep provides wool for his clothing and symbolizes simple independence and content rural life. It reinforces Pope's message that true happiness lies in the self sufficiency and moderation, not with wealth and luxury. The line means that the man's own sheep provides wool for his clothing, just as his cow gives milk and field gives food. Thus, all the basic necessities like food, drink, and clothing comes from his own land. We can see the deeper significance of this line. It emphasizes the complete self-sufficiency, freedom from market, luxury, and social competition. A life governed by need, not a greed. And the poet suggests that the man does not care for fashion, display, or luxury. His clothes are functional and not decorative. To see the deeper meaning of the line is it reflects true happiness comes from simple living. Independence on the nature brings peace. Excessive concern for appearance leads to vanity and unrest. It echoes the classical ideal of basic needs are enough for a good life. Line 8 in Winter Fire. This short line beautifully expresses comfort and self sufficiency and contentment of life and solitary life. Literary meaning of this line says in winter, the winter symbolizes cold, hardship, and discomfort, the season where warmth and shelter are essential. The word fire stands for warmth, comfort, and protection. In earlier times, the fire was not luxury but necessary for survival during winter. So, literary meaning here refers to the during the cold winter season, the speaker has a fire to keep him warm. A deeper and symbolic meaning of this line is a comfort uh, through simplicity. The poet shows that a truly happy life does not depend upon the wealth and luxury. Even the winter having simple fire is enough. This reflects poet's belief that the basic necessity brings a real contentment. Self-sufficiency, this line suggests that life where one's needs are moderate and early fulfilled, the speaker is independent, not dependent on rich or society. Then peaceful solitude, the fire also symbolizes inner warmth and peace. The poet enjoys a quiet domestic comfort rather than the public frame or a social ambition. So the life balances with nature. The speaker lives with harmony with nature, accepting winter without complaint and meeting it calmly with simple means. Connections with poem's theme. In the poem, The Ode to Solitude, the author phrases life as moderation of natural simplicity and freedom from ambition and quiet happiness. In Winter Fire, it fits perfectly with an idea showing that the modest life provides that all that truly necessary for happiness. Tone and style. Tone seems to be calm and contented and reflective. Style here refers to a very brief and plain and matching the poem's theme of simplicity. So, to tell the meaning in a simple manner, even in cold winter season, the speaker is happy because he has simple warmth and comfort, showing that the peaceful life needs only basic things. Stanza 3, line number 9, blessed whose unconcernedly find. This line shifts the poet from materialistic self sufficiency to the inner peace and mental attitude, showing that true happiness also depends upon how a person experiences time and life. Let us see the detailed explanation. Blessed. The word blessed here suggests the state of true happiness, grace, and good fortune. It implies not materialistic wealth, but the life favored by peace and contentment. Who can? This phrase indicates that not only everyone is capable of such happiness, it requires self control, wisdom, and calm temperament. Then, unconcernedly, this is also important, the word in the line. This means without anxiety, without worry or a fear, without ambition or restlessness. The man is free from mental pressure that trouble most of the people. So the word find suggests personal relationship and experience. Happiness is not given from the outside. It is sometimes the man discovers within himself. Let us see the combined meaning of this line. The line means that the man is truly blessed that he can experience his life without anxiety, remaining calm and connected about success, failure, or a passage of time. Let us see the deeper meaning and philosophical meaning of this line, such as Stoic philosophy, which teaches freedom from emotional disturbance. The belief and peace comes from the detachment, not possession. The idea that the happiness depends upon the mental attitude, not circumstances. The man does not measure life by achieving or status, but rather than inner serenity. Let us see the literary devices. Inversion. Inversion is a device that could be found in this line, blessed who can. Instead, blessed here is who can. It is an abstract diction that focuses on mental state rather than physical objects. It connects the next line. This line it prepares the next idea, such as hours, days, years, slide soft away. So it explains us that because of the man is unconcerned, the time passes gently and peacefully for him. The line blessed here the word refers who can unconcernedly finds means the person is truly blessed that he can live without anxiety or restless concern, accept his life calmly as it unfolds. It marks a shift from eternal. Hours, days, years slide soft away. Such a person is blessed because the time passes gently for him. He does not worry about the future or regrets the past. His life flows calmly and peacefully. Line number 10. Hours, days, and years slide soft away. This line explains how time passes peacefully in the life of happy man who lives with contentment and inner calm. Let us see the detailed explanation of this line, such as hours, then days and years. These words covers all stages of life. Hours means short moment of daily life. Days means a daily routine passage of time, and years it refers to the long span of life. Hence, the poet suggests that the man's entire lifetime from the moment moves gently. And let us see that word last slide. It means it suggests smooth and effortless movement. The time does not feel heavily, slowly, and stressful. Here is no struggle and pressure in his life. Soft away. So the poet has make use of the word soft away phrases. So this phrase emphasizes gentleness and calmness of life. So the time fades quietly and gently without any pain, shock, or anxiety. Hence, the poet says, confess and emphasize the life passes naturally and peacefully and in a beautiful manner. Let us see the combined meaning of the line. The line means that the man who is free from worry and ambition, time passes gently and pleasant without fear and restlessness and regret. Deeper and philosophical meaning, the poet conveys that the peaceful mind changes how the time is experienced. Ambition, anxiety, and makes time feel harsh and burdensome. Contentment allows life to follow smoothly. This idea reflects a Stoic philosophy which valued calm acceptance of life. Literary device such as personification, time is described as sliding. Alliteration, a slide soft creates a smooth sound. Then imagery, gentle emotion reinforces peace. And has a moral significance. The line teaches that happiness lies in inner calm, not external success, where the mind is peaceful and life feels lighter. True contentment makes the passage of life enjoyable. To tell that line, the hours, days, and years slide soft away means that the happy man experiences the passage of time in a very smoother and gentle and untroubled manner. His life flows calmly from one moment to another, showing that inner peace makes life itself pleasant and harmonious. Line 11. In health of body, peace of mind. In health of body, physical health is foundation of happiness. The man enjoys strong and sound body, free from disease and weakness. Good health allows him to live comfortably and perform daily activities without strain. Peace of man refers to man calm and contentment and freedom from anxiety. His thoughts are tranquil. He does not worry about fame, fortune, and our ambition. Inner peace is important as physical health for happy life. Let us see the combined meaning. The line means that the happy man experiences both physical and well-being and mental tranquility. These two together makes life enjoyable and free from suffering. Mental comfort alone cannot ensure happiness. It is also a combination of health and mental calm that brings true bliss. The philosophical and moral significance of this line, the poet Pope reflects Stoic and Sully's classical ideas, such as happiness comes from moderation, simplicity, and self-contentment. Physical and mental well-being are interdependent. Health body supports calm mind and peace mind supports health. Happiness is holistic, not dependent solely on wealth, status, or luxury. Let us see the literary devices such as parallelism, health of the body, the peace of mind. Balanced structure emphasizes the equality of physical and mental well-being. Abstract nouns, the health and peace highlights the qualities of inner life rather than the materialistic possessions. The line and the health of the body and peace of mind means that the true happy of man enjoys good physical health and calm and tranquility in mind. It shows that happiness depends on both bodily well-being and mental serenity, not merely on the wealth or possessions. Line 12, Quiet by Day. This line describes the peaceful and undisturbed life of an idle, happy man during the daytime. It emphasizes mental calm, freedom from worry, and stress free existence. Let us see the detailed explanation. The word quiet refers to peace, calm, and tranquility. It implies freedom from noise, chaos, conflict, or a mental disturbance, and the man experiences serenity in his surrounding and in his thought. By day, here this phrase suggests the specific that the peace occurs thoughtful and the daytime, the period of activity and work. Even while he is performing daily tasks, he is undoubted by ambition, social pressure, and worldly existence. The combined meaning of this line, the line means that happy man spends his days in calmness and undisturbed peace. This is not rushed, stressed, and anxious about life demands. Even life labors an activity of ease, harmonious because his desires are moderate and his life is well ordered. Let us see the deeper and symbolic meaning of this line. The symbol of mental peace, the daytime often represents activity, work, and engagement with the world. Experience quiet during this time shows mastery over desire and worries, harmony with nature, that man's surrounding are serene, adding to inner calm. Idle life contrasts with the restless life of ambitious city dwellers who are always busy and anxious. Philosophical significances. Happiness is not just an external comfort but also inner peace. Mental calm during a daily activity shows that he is self sufficient and detached from unnecessarily worldly concern. True contentment allows a person to live fully in the present without distractions or stress. Literary device such as conciseness, a shortness of life mirrors the simplicity of life is described. Alliteration is quiet by day creates a soft and calm effect. Imagery evokes a peace of rural serene and free from disturbance. The line is such as the quiet by day. It means that the happy man lives in a daytime calmly and peacefully, free from anxiety, noise, and stress. It reinforces the poem's rather the theme such as inner serenity and simplicity leads to true happiness. Line 13 sound sleep by night, study and ease. This line continues Pop's description of idle life of man life, which seems to be very happy enough. And he also highlighting that rest and intellectual activity and balanced leisure. The complement of a previous line, quiet by day, showing that peace extends throughout the entire 24 hours. We can see the detailed explanation, the sound sleep by night. The literal meaning here refers to the happy man sleeps deeply and peacefully at night, and he is free from anxiety, fear, and worry, and allowing his body and mind to rest fully. The symbolic meaning, the sleep represents the mental and emotional tranquility. The good night sleeps reflects the well ordered and free from conflict. It suggests that his inner calm continues even when he is not awake, his mind is at peace. The phrase study and ease, here the word study refers to intellectual pursuit, learning, and contemplation. Even in leisure, the man cultivates his mind, reflects the value of education, reflections, and personal growth. Ease here refers to the rest and relaxation and recreation. Man balances intellectual activity with leisure, showing harmonious and moderate life. Combined meaning of this line, it suggests that happy man enjoys balanced life, night or the restful sleep. Days includes mix of day and relaxation. He does not overwork, nor does he indulge in idleness. His life is balanced, disciplined, and peaceful. Philosophical and moral significance of this line. True happiness involves both physical rest and mental cultivation. Intellectual growth, it represents study, and the leisure, it represents easy, and it should coexistence. Life should be moderate, harmonious, in the tune with nature as ideal promoted by Augustan thinkers and classical philosophy. Line emphasizes self-sufficiency and inner satisfaction over worldly ambition. Let us see the literary device found in this poem, such as contrast. The study represents works and ease represents leisure and shows as balance. Parallelism, the sound sleeps by night and study and ease. Rhythmic balance mirrors the balanced life. Imagery evokes the serene, orderly, and fulfillment of daily life. The line sound sleep by night, study and ease. It conveys that happy man's life is peaceful, balanced, and harmonious. He sleeps well, engages in intellectual pursuit, enjoys leisurely activities in moderation. Hence, the poet Pope represents this is an ideal life where mental and physical well being, work, and recreation coexist, forming a foundation for true happiness. Line 14, together mixed and sweet recreation. This line describes how the happy man's life is balanced, combining work, study, and leisure harmoniously. Pope emphasizes the moderation and variety leads to enjoyable and fulfilling living. Let us see the detailed explanation. Together mixed refers to blending of different aspects of life, study or intellectual work, ease or rest, leisure activity or recreation. Man does not spend all his time in one activity. This combination creates harmony and balance, preventing both boredom and overexertion. Sweet recreation refers to recreation means refreshment, relaxation, and enjoyable activity. Sweet, here the word emphasizes the pleasure and delight derived from these activities. Recreation here refers to moderate and wholesome, not indulge or excessiveness. It allows the mind to refresh, regenerate, and enjoy life, complementing study and work. So, combined meaning of this line that a happy man life is well balanced, where work, intellectual pursuit, and leisure blend together naturally, producing joy and contentment. He enjoys recreation without overindulgence, keeping his life in a very harmonious manner. Philosophical and moral significance of this line, such as the happiness is achieved not through the extremes but through the moderation and balance. The life is mixes work, study, and leisure in peaceful and fulfilling and morally upright. This reflects classical and Augustan ideals. The golden means the balance in all things in the path of contentment. Literary devices such as alliteration, sweet, and study mixed creates soft and harmonious rhythm. Parallelism, continuations of balanced idyll with early lines. Imagery suggests leisurely, pleasant life where duties and pleasure coincidence. Combined meaning of this line that the happy man's life is well balanced, where work, intellectual pursuit, and leisure blends together naturally, producing joy and contentment. His joy recreation without overindulgence, keeping his life in harmonious manner. Philosophical and moral significance of this line, such as the happiness is achieved not through extremes but through the moderation balance. A life that mixes work, study, and leisure in peaceful and fulfillment and morally uplifting. This reflects classical and Augustan ideals. The golden mean balance in all rights is in the path of contentment. Literary device used in this line, such as alliteration in the lines sweet and study. The word S sound is repeated in this phrase, and mix creates a soft, harmonious rhythm. Next device is parallelism, continuation of balance ideal with early lines. Imagery is the next device we could find in this line, suggests that leisurely, pleasant life where duties and pleasure coexist. The line together mixed sweet recreation conveys that the happy man enjoys harmonious blend of work, study, and leisure, with recreation provides refreshment and joy. This emphasizes poem's central theme: balance, moderation, contentment are keys of to happy life. Line 15, an innocence with most does please. This line highlights the moral and spiritual aspects of happiness, emphasizing that true pleasure comes not only from the material comfort or leisure but also from the purity, simplicity, and virtuous living. Detailed explanations such as and innocent refers to the moral purity, simplicity, and freedom from guilt or wrongdoing. Happy man's life is free from malice, deceit, and ambition. Innocence is not just a childhood purity, it represents virtuous and ethical life. The next phrase, which most does please, this indicates among all sources of happiness, innocence brings the greatest pleasure. Moral integrity and clear conscience produce lasting satisfaction more than wealth, comfort, or fame. Combined meaning, the line means that happiness life is rooted in a moral goodness, while food, clothing, leisure, study brings comfort, innocence provides the deepest and most enduring joy. Deeper and philosophical meaning, the poet emphasizes virtue as central to happiness, reflecting classical and Augustine thought. Happiness is not complete without moral integrity. Peace of mind depends upon absence of guilt or corruption. Innocence allows the man to live freely and calmly, troubled by social ambition or ethical compromises. Literary device found in this line such as personification, innocence is presented as a source that actively pleases the mind. Emphasize the face which most does please, highlights the supremacy of moral goodness over all other joys. The next device is contrast. The most pleasure is shown as a superior that material or sensory pleasure discussed in early lines. The lines and innocent which most does please conveys that the greatest joy of life comes from the moral purity, virtue, and ethical living. The poet Pope suggests that inner goodness is cornerstone of true happiness, complementing the physical comfort, leisure, simplicity already describes in the poem. Line 16 with meditation. This short line emphasizes the importance of reflection and thoughtful contemplation in the happy man's life, completes Pope's description of life, balance, physical comfort, leisure, moral integrity, and in intellectual activity. Detailed expression such as the word with suggests that meditation is integrated into daily life. The man does not separate reflection from living. It is natural and continuous part of his peaceful existence. The word meditation refers to thoughtful reflection, contemplation, introspection. Meditation allows the man to understand himself, his life, and nature, increasing his satisfaction and wisdom. It is not religious ritual alone, but mindful, deliberate, engaged with ideals, morals, and life. Combined meaning of this line means that the happy man enhances his contentment through meditation, reflecting of life, nature, and his own inner state. Meditation depends upon the peace, innocent peace described in the preceding lines. The deeper and philosophical meaning of this line, such as meditation allows the man to cultivate mental clarity and inner harmony. It is complements physical comfort, leisure, moral innocence, showing that happiness is both external and internal. Pope aligns with the classical and Augustan ideals. It reflects life ensures morality, integrity, self-awareness, and spiritual balance. Literary device found in lines such as consciousness, the single word line mirrors the simplicity and serenity of meditation. Next device is emphasized and placing meditation at the end of the highlights importance of happy life. The next device is parallelism and rhythm, completes the structure of precise lines about the balance and moderation. The moral significance of this line, the meditation encourages self-knowledge and contentment. Inner reflection reinforces innocent moderation and peace of mind. It suggests the happiness not just material or bodily comfort, but the thoughtful, examined life. The life with meditation significance, the happy man's joy, reflective contemplation, which deepens his joy, peace, and moral well being. It contemplates Pope's vision of an ideal life of simplicity, balance, self sufficiency, where body, mind, spirit are all nurtured. Line 17. Thus let me live unseen, unknown. This line marks the closing wish of the poet, emphasizes his desire for quiet private life free from public attention, fame, and social obligation. It expresses the ultimate ideal of solitude and contentment. Detailed explanations such as, thus let me live. Thus here refers to lifestyle described in the poem, self-sufficient, moderated desire, harmonious with nature, peace and relative. The poet wishes to live his life in a same peaceful and contented manner. Here the word unseen describes that he desires his life away from the public eye, avoids fame, social recognition and scrutiny. Freedom from society allows him to maintain peace of life and moral integrity. In the word unknown, we can see he wishes that his life leaves not mark on the worldly history or fame. True contentment does not come from recognition or legacy, but rather than inner satisfaction and privacy. The combined meaning of the line, we can see that the line means that the Pope want to live a quiet, moderate, modest life, unnoticed by society and free from worldly competition, with full of peace, simplicity, self-contentment. He values personal tranquility over public knowledge. The deeper and philosophical meaning reflects Augustine and classical ideals of simplicity and moderation and detachment. The poet believes true happiness lies in the solitude of moral purity, not in ambition or fame. And fame, recognition often brings stress, envy, and unrest. Anonymity allows inner freedom. Little device, we can see alliteration in the words unseen, unknown, then a sound unlocate is repeated and creates a soft and quiet effect reflecting the poet's desire for peaceful obscurity. Next is parallelism. Unseen, unknown emphasize the poet's longing for complete privacy. Economy of words. Short, simple phrase mirrors the simplicity of ideal that the life he desires. The moral significances of this line, such as the true happiness is independent of social recognition, solitude allows reflection, peace, and moral living. A life lived quietly, ethically, is more valuable than the fame or a wealth. The line, thus let me live unseen, unknown, express Pope's wish of live of peace, private and virtuous life. Free from ambition, fame, and public scrutiny, it highlights the poet's central theme. The contentment comes from simplicity and self sufficiency, moral integrity, and life close to nature. Line 18, thus unlimited, let me die. This line continues the poet's wish for life, even death, free from public attention, fame, and emotion display. The poet Pope expresses desire for a quiet, unnoticed end, just as he wished to live quietly. Detailed explanations such as, the word thus refers to the back simple and peaceful and solitary life described throughout the poem. And the poet wants to his death to be in harmony within his life and in a very calm and modest and undisturbed manner. The word unlamented refers to men's not publicly mourned or widely grieved. Hence, the poet Pope do not desire grand funerals, public phrases, or a dramatic expression of a sorrow. This does not mean that he want to be unloved, rather he rejects public display, fame, and even in the death. Let me die here refers to it expresses acceptances of death as a natural and peaceful conclusion of life. This is no fear or regret, only calm, resignation, and contentment. Let us see the combined meaning of this line. The line means that Pope wishes to die quietly and privately with public mourning or recognition, just as he wished to live unseen and unknown. His idle life ends in a peaceful obscurity. Deeper and philosophical meaning, the poet suggests that true worth does not depend upon public memory or praise. Fame is life and death often brings vanity and disturbance. Obscurity preserves peace. The line reflects stoic attitude, accepting death calmly without emotional excess. Let us see the literary devices such as parallelism mirrors the early life. Thus let me live unseen, unknown, creating a balance between life and death. Then we can see the tone of this line, such as it is calm, reflective, and detached, fitting the rhythm of solitude. Then we can see the simplicity of diction as the matches the poet ideal of simple life. Moral significance of the line: the life well lived does not need public applause or dramatic remembrance. The peaceful living leads to the peaceful dying. The inner contentment is more important than the external recognition even after death. The line, thus unlamented, let me die, expresses the author's desire for quiet and dignified death and free from public attention or a fame. It reinforces the poet's central theme of true happiness lies in simplicity, solitude, moral integrity, and inner peace, both of life and its death. Line 19: Steal from the world, not a stone. Detailed explanation. This line expresses the ideal of quiet, unnoticed departure from life, a death so humble that it leaves no visible mark on the world. Let us see the phrase by phrase meaning. Steal from the world here refers to the word steal is referred metaphorically. It suggests slipping away silently and secretly. Without ceremony or attention, the person does not announce their death with fame, honor, or public mourning. They live life as quietly as they lived in. And not a stone, the stone refers to storm stone or a monument. Saying that not a stone means no more memorial, no grander grave, no lasting physical reminder. The person is buried without wealth, inscription, or architectural tribute. We can see the line emphasizes the humble and obscure fate of common people. They die without recognition, glory, or remembrance of society. Their lives and death passes almost invisibility, as if they were gently removed from the world rather than publicly commemorated. Let us see the literary significance of this line, the theme of obscurity and humility. The line highlights shows ordinary people often lives and dies without fame, contrasting sharply with rich and powerful who are remembered through monuments. Criticism of social inequality. In subtle criticism, the world that values people only when they lived behind wealth, power, or visible memories. The tone is soft, melancholic, and compassionate, inviting the reader to feel respect and sympathy for live what went uncelebrated. Imagery: the image of living the world without even stone suggests ensure from history, reinforcing the poem's meditation on morality and remembrance. Line 20: Tell where I lie. This line is short but powerful. It carries a deep emotion, symbolic meaning. Here it is a detailed explanation, phrase by phrase meaning. The word phrase tell, it is in command or a request direct to someone. The speaker is asking the information to be shared or relieved. It shows a sense of desire of recognition or remembrance. Where I lie in this phrase, the phrase literally refers to the place of burial where the speaker's body rests after death. Symbolically, it can also mean that speaker's position of life or the world and desire to be acknowledged even after passing away. We can see the line expresses longing to be remembered after death. The speaker wants someone to mark their existence even through something that is simple as telling where their grave is. It reflects the human desire to leave a trace, however small as one's life. It could also reflect humility. The speaker may also want fame or a monument, but simply want their final resting place to be known, so the people remember their live and mattered. The literary significance of this line, the theme is morality and remembrance. The line directly touches death, human legacy, and desire to be remembered. And the tone is appealing, melancholic, and introspective. It evokes sympathy and reflection of life and death. And the imagery, the image is stark and visual. A grave and financial resisting places. It evokes sense of quiet humility and inevitability. Conscience for effect. The line is extremely short, which adds weight to the pila. Its brevity emphasizes the loneliness and simplicity of speaker's wish. So the speaker is asking someone to tell others where others are buried, reflecting simple desire to be remembered after death.